Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm Greg, your personal weather man, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype. Here with your update on Tuesday, September the 3rd, 2024. Let's go ahead and take a look at those latest headlines, shall we? As it looks like we're going to see record temperatures fall. Records will fall both for high and low temperatures coming up with a nice little flip-flop of the seasons across the country that's coming up, especially this weekend. We're going to be talking about an unsettled southeast. We're going to have a little bit of influence there with some rain over the next few days with an old boundary and even some moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico make for some wet weather later this week before the real cool weather moves in across the southeast. And we're also talking about dual tropical threats. Still nothing imminent out on the tropics. Boy, this has been an unusual season so far this year, but we'll go ahead and take a look at the latest on the tropics as well. Now, before we get into all this, I first want to thank all the new subscribers. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, hey, come on board. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you like what you see, it really does help with the algorithm. It does a little bit. Please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below, as I surely do appreciate the support as I try to grow the best product possible for you guys out there in the YouTube universe. All right, let's go and take a look at our current satellite imagery here across the country. No big storm system out here. Kind of wet and rainy here across portions of Texas. In fact, they've had some flash flood watches out here. Seeing some stormy conditions here along the coastal areas across South Texas. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. A little bit of rain down there in South Florida as well. And got a weak system up here into Montana. In fact, some of the interior sections in here are looking at just a marginal risk for severe weather here in a second. We'll break that down as well with your storm outlook here in just a second. Here's our current look here across the country. Oh, look at these temperatures in the 40s and 50s. And if you like this, hey, we're going to do it again. We got another shot coming down going into this weekend. So unusual to see this so early here. And seeing the rains here across Texas. Another system here coming in on the west coast a little bit. Still going to be brutally hot here out in the west in the coming days. I mean, we're looking at some of the interior sections, even getting up to Washington State, that may be bumping into 100 degrees. So very warm out west, going to be kind of cool and chilly out here in the east as we head the next few days or so. All right, here's our current hazards outlook. And again, quiet here along the east. Here's those flash flood watches there across portions of Texas. That rain has been kind of sitting across that region all weekend long. Here's our extreme excessive heat watches out here across California, Arizona. This is heat advisories even to the valley sections of California. Red flag warnings, of course, that means dry conditions. Means be careful out here, obviously, to set off those forest fires out here. But again, it's going to be hot and dry out in the west, but not looking too bad here in the east. Hey, let's look at our current radar here across South Texas as we're dealing with rain. A few rumbles of thunder here stretching up just south of Galveston Bay, going down toward Corpus Christi. Seeing the rains here just around the San Antonio Metroplex, but not looking too bad in this area. But this rain threat's going to be pretty much around all day for you folks there in Texas. So sorry I had a little bit better forecast for you, but it's going to get better eventually, but not for a day or so before things begin to improve across that portion of the state. If you really want some really great weather, how about Coldwater, Michigan? It is gorgeous out this morning. Temperature of 48 degrees. That is fall, man. They're looking at a sunny sky for this afternoon, looking for a high temperature today of 75 degrees. I give that a perfect 10. That's at 75 and 48. I think that's a perfect forecast, to say the least. Hey, if you'd like to have your city considered as the weather city of the day, and you know of a good webcam, it could be here on YouTube or perhaps another source, just go ahead and post the link down below in the comment section, and we'll consider it here for a future broadcast. All right, let's go ahead and switch gears, and we're going to take a look at your latest severe weather outlook here, as we'll be checking the latest from the Storms Prediction Center, as we're going to kind of see what's going on in that arena. As you see in that dark green area, that right there, my friend, is what you call a marginal risk for severe weather. So what exactly does that mean? Well, that means you're going to see some gusty winds in that area. Really the main threat, a little thunder, a little lightning in there. Not expecting anything tornadic, but we're talking about Montana. We're talking about Cheyenne, back toward Utah. Those are the areas for today. Around the southeast, you're looking at just a general thunderstorm threat here from Texas all the way over toward Florida in that light green area. But of course, this time of year, you got warm temperatures. You can still pulse up an isolated severe, but again, nothing too big to be concerned about there for your day one outlook here on your Tuesday. Day two really doesn't change all that much. In fact, it looks very much like day one. Doesn't really change much at all. Maybe just a slightly bigger area here with that marginal risk for severe weather. And again, just that general thunderstorm threat here across the south That old boundary kind of stuck there for Georgia, Alabama, back over toward Texas and Louisiana. So again, just a scattered thunderstorm or two embedded with some of that rainfall here over the next several days. And as we take a look at your day 3 outlook here, as we switch over to day 3, just looking at a general thunderstorm threat here for a big swath of the country here, from the high plains back over here to the south and of course areas of the southeast, and that will include some of the mid-Atlantic here from Virginia getting down toward the Carolinas as well, with just a general thunderstorm threat for day 3. That, of course, is going into your Thursday. So no organized areas of severe weather is expected here over the next 2 days. We do have just a couple days of that marginal risk for severe weather, with the strong gusty winds really kind of being the main threat there. So again, recapping that day 1 outlook here, again, we're talking about the cities of Salt Lake City, West Valley City, in looking at Provo, Utah, West Jordan, Utah, and Billings, Montana. Those are the major cities that are under the gun for that marginal risk for severe weather here for today. All right, let's talk about the tropics as we are now heading toward the peak of the hurricane season. Officially, the peak of the hurricane season, climatologically speaking, when you look back at all the history, is September the 10th. So we're only a week away, and you would think going into September we would have some organized storms out there, and yet it consistently persists that is not happening. We're still waiting to see where we're going to get that next named storm. Now, the latest here from the National Hurricane Center, again, is tracking 2 areas of disturbed weather, showing about a 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. So nothing imminent out there for right now in development. So I'm thinking the one probably, I'll be honest with you, probably the one out near the Canaries, out there toward the Azores, I should say, are going to be the areas that most likely are going to see potential for our next named storm to come in. Of course, that's Francine. Still waiting on that. We were already on the K storms last year at this time, so running well below last year. So I think the fact that I just don't see anything imminent out there, I think the forecast that was expected for this season is going to turn out to be a bust. It was also a bust last year. Last year they were expecting like 13 named storms. We had 20. This year they're expecting 25 named storms, and we may struggle to get to the average of the way things are looking. Now it can change, but man, things right now have just been really slow development. It's been it'll be interesting to see what folks go back and take a look at this hurricane season and see what's happened. This is what we had so far. Again, 5 named storms. The last named storm we had was Ernesto, and that was back in the middle of August, August 12th to the 23rd there, and it's been quiet ever since. So it's been almost over 10 days. We still have not had an organized named system out in the Atlantic so far. And right now, this is what it looks like on the satellite imagery. As we're looking out there, again, you got one little cluster of storms out here. I got another little tropical wave there. This is the other tropical wave here that they're watching. So it's this one here in particular and this one here that they're looking at possible development. So, but none of these systems, as far as from the infrared satellite imagery, as far as the thunderstorms that are around them, look all that impressive so far. I mean, it's really, really amazing to me as a guy who's been watching this for over 25 years to see a satellite imagery in September this quiet is just, it's really kind of boggles the mind just a little bit watching this. So here's the latest eSense model here. Again, let me get this back into my interactive mode here so I can kind of step you through here of what we're watching. So I'm going to go ahead and advance this through here, through the slide deck here a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on. Obviously, we got a couple of areas we're watching. So when you look at this, you're seeing, okay, we got a little disturbance here. We got one that's out here. This is one we've been tracking here for a while. We got a little cluster out here in this is that old one that we were looking at earlier. And those are the areas of just looking for development here, but none of them are really standing out. As I go ahead and advance this forward here, again, the one that's out in the middle Atlantic, it just falls apart. And then you see the other one there, just both those systems kind of fall apart. So as you look out there, right there for that time period, I mean, these two systems not showing anything. We got a big cluster of something down here in the Bay of Campeche. This is probably something we need to watch closely. Again, this is going in toward next week, going in toward the next Monday at that point, seeing what goes on. But you do notice this trend here with something trying to maybe get pulled up in here across the eastern Gulf of Mexico. Nothing looks overly strong, mind you, that's for sure. But again, we'll just kind of watch that closely for next week to see if something gets pulled northward into the western portions of the Gulf of Mexico, perhaps something getting pulled up toward Louisiana at that time. We back that up once again right there. So that's the last image going out 10 days. So And of course, at the end of that 10 days, we got another system we're watching just coming off of the coast of Africa at that time. That's another impressive wave coming off. We'll see what happens with that. But what's been happening with some of these waves coming off the coast, they've been ejecting and then going and being pulled northward. Unusual to see that out in the tropics. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now, it looks pretty quiet for the most part. So, but we'll have to watch those next two systems to see if we actually get Francine to come to fruition here as we head into heading into the end of next week. We'll see how that works out for everybody. Let's go ahead and take a look at the latest European model on this. This is the 0Z run here. Again, we're kind of watching a couple of areas there. You got these two little zones out here. And what's part of that wave sitting right in there as well there in the Western Caribbean, or Eastern Caribbean, I should say, for today. So let's go ahead and clear this out, and we'll watch that time stamp there at the top as we're going to watch this kind of progress and not see anything really standing out. Nothing showing development here for the rest of this week. So the rest of this week's looking pretty quiet. You notice we got a little spin here. Looks like a little spin here out in the middle of the Atlantic, but nothing there. We're watching this one back here. Nothing here. They got that tropical wave back over here, getting into the western portion of the Caribbean as we go toward your Thursday and into Friday. All right, so we'll continue to watch that progress. Looks like something here tries to develop here on the northern part of this going into the Atlantic. I'm not going to worry about that. It's a little bit off your screen there. I'm just kind of really watching the main primary zones here for development because that's where we look climatologically speaking. But again, going out here, still don't see anything here kind of getting organized here going out 10 days. There is nothing out there that's really showing in the tropical zones. There's a couple of hybrid systems in the North Atlantic, but nothing showing imminent here on the European model over the next 10 days. That stays on the quiet side for now, and the question is, will it remain that way? But right now, don't have to worry about that for you folks along the Gulf Coast and things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the continental United States. I'm going to back this up. We'll do a reset here and take a look at North America. Also looking at a pretty quiet pattern here across the nation, except for the fact that we're going to have a nice little plunge of cool air coming down for this weekend. So as we take a look here, again, we got some moisture. It's going to increase there across the south. This is the leftover moisture here coming in here. Let me switch this over to the European model here. Switch this back over here. And again, we're looking here, not seeing anything here to really write home about here across the southeast. That some of that moisture down in Texas may get right along the Gulf Coast there, hence the rain threat there. But as we go toward the end of the week, got a pretty good cold front here coming down south here across portions of Minnesota. We're gonna tap some of this cold air. You've seen that blue line there. That's the 540 line. So you know you got some cold air coming in down here, heading into the high plains and going into the Great Lakes area as we go into this upcoming weekend. So that's on Thursday. We're going to watch that timestamp there. As we continue to watch this progress, we've got a nice little cold shot coming down as we head into there across the areas of the Great Lakes as we go into late in the day on Friday. Switch this back to 0Z, not going out all the way here. So you can see that kind of coming through. So we got that nice little cold shot here coming down here across the Great Lakes as this cold front comes on through. And that's going to make for some very nice weather across the eastern third of the United States. I would not be surprised if we challenge some record lows across the Great Lakes. We may see some first, maybe possibly could see our first frost in freeze advisories potentially across the Great Lakes. I think frost advisories possibly, especially around Lake Michigan and stuff as we go this weekend. But that low is just going to kind of get cut off and just kind of spin there across the Great Lakes, a little unsettling there across the UP of Michigan. But most of the nation, notice how quiet it is here across the country. So a nice significant pattern shift. Remember how progressive the pattern was. We were having one storm after another, more severe weather. There's a weak system coming out here on the West Coast going in towards September 11th here on going into next Wednesday. You've seen that little thing. We got another storm system up here coming out, dropping out of the Gulf of Alaska. But otherwise, nothing to write home about as far as any major storm system here over the next week. So other than the fact that we got that nice little cold shot coming down here right in there, and you can see that with the temperature anomaly map. So if I look at the anomaly map here, you can really track that very well as we've already got the cool air that's already in place here across the eastern third of the United States. And then as I progress this through, we get another shot that comes down here. There it is, coming over the Great Lakes here, going into this upcoming weekend. Shows up very nicely. You see that green here and there. That's temperatures well below normal. Of course, we're looking at above normal temperatures out here in the west as a result of that cool air coming in. So it's going to feel very fall-like in the east and very summer-like and hot out in the west as we go into this upcoming weekend. And then it should begin to modify a little bit here as we progress this through. Again, the whole eastern third of the United States going into next Monday. Still looking at with below normal temperatures, although it is red, steamy there across there, the western portion of the United States. And starts to modify here a little bit, obviously looking a little more seasonable here as we head to the tail end of this run going towards September the 12th. Still a little hot here in the plains, but then we got another little cold pocket here. At least we'll finally beat back that heat across some of the western portions on the tail end of this run as we go in through to about September the 12th. So I do suspect with this new model day coming out that the Climate Prediction Center outlook for days going out to day 14 may change a little bit later today when that new update comes out for that period. So that's what I'm anticipating right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at that climate outlook here. As we take a look at that real quick, let me switch over to that. Here we go. And we're going to take a look at the climate outlook here and take a look at, again, the east is going to be where that cool air is. I just showed you that with the below normal temperatures there across the east, above normal temperatures out in the west. That is going to stay in place. And notice it gets near normal from the 10th to the 16th there. It's going to the 8th to the 14th, but hot out here in the west. I think this map today most likely will change the fact that we're seeing that cooler air coming in here across the northwest. So you folks up here probably will see this change a little bit later today with these get updated daily. So this will probably change a little bit, I think, looking at the extreme, at least looking at what the overnight models were kicking out there for us. As far as the precipitation outlook, very dry here. We are getting into that time of year, September going on October, where it can be a little bit dry across the country. We're kind of making that, we're not quite made that transition to where we're getting that active westerly flow in here, and the tropics being quiet for the moment doesn't help either. We get above normal precipitation here across portions of the southeast, New England, and into the northwest. And it looks like it stays that way for the big bulk of the country. Again, as we just showed you for the next 10 days, we don't have any major storm systems here across the country. Again, maybe here along the Gulf Coast with above normal precipitation. And then we got that cool down coming in. We got more systems coming out in the northwest with above normal precipitation here, which I think will, again, change that temperature outlook here as for the northwest especially. Now, as we look ahead for the rest of the fall, I do want to point this out. The new seasonal drought index just came out here over the weekend. So areas here in the Ohio River Valley looking at drought conditions here could persist or develop likely in this area, these yellows and this brown areas. The areas here in green and yellow, this is where the drought conditions are expected to remove a little more precipitation in these little zones. So a couple of pockets to watch here as far as drought going here in the fall, the middle of the country, as well as over here across the Ohio River Valley. Surprisingly, not seeing that out on the west coast here, but that is your drought outlook here, taking us through most of the fall right through November the 30th. So it looks like a quiet weather pattern. Yours truly is just kind of sitting here in a little bit of a holding pattern, waiting to see what happens out in the tropics. We were anticipating a very busy season. There's still plenty of latent heat out in the Atlantic. And I will say this, if we do not get any major storm development out in the Atlantic and that latent heat just kind of sits there, if we don't pay the piper this year, we're going to pay it eventually next year. Mother Nature abhors an imbalance, and if we got that kind of heat that's just kind of latent out in the tropics, we'll get some serious storm action. If we don't get it this year, we definitely got to watch out for next year, that's for sure. All right, that's your update for now. If you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel and you'd like to make this daily forecast as part of your YouTube weather feed as one of your weather sources out there, please consider it. Just hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And as always, I do appreciate any kind of feedback you have. Let me know what you think of the product, and if there's something you'd like to see, hey, go ahead and put it down below. I'll consider it here to kind of improve this product, because again, this is for you guys. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Until then, bye-bye for now.